Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Conscious Health Podcast. We have my co host David Ortega with us, and we have a very special guest called Sara Cahill with us as well. Put down what they no longer need and move forward in a way that leaves them deeply understanding, loving, and embracing who they are. What an amazing purpose! What an amazing mission. Sara, that's so amazing. How did you get to this? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, I sadly feel like this is not a short story, so I hope you get to fill in. I mean, I think that my life has been a lot of like following the trail of breadcrumbs. Like the older I get, the more that I see like this path has been laid. Like it was just for me to like discover and move along. I mean, starting way at the very beginning, even with my first experience of chiropractic, I like literally within me, like that lit me up. I was so excited about that. So I went for biology for my undergrad degree. So chiropractic has done a ton for my healing over the years, but it also has never been like the only thing, which of course, no one thing is the only thing. When I moved to school, I moved far away. I live in the Midwest in Iowa, and I went down to Atlanta for chiropractic school. So you couldn't get to a different kind of like social, like even like actual climate, like a more different place from there. I didn't have any family there, didn't know anybody when I moved down there. So I was like, okay, I've had hives before. Like I must have gotten into something weird. So I went to urgent care. They gave me the steroids that lasted 10 days. The hives were gone. I was like, perfect, we're all good. And had what I can only describe as a complete and utter emotional breakdown while I was sitting across from him, just telling him about how stressed I had been, how upset I was, like what had gone on. And he was great about just sitting back and letting me do my thing. And at the end, he was like, I think it's just stress related. You should probably just relax over break. And I wanted to flip his desk over. I was like, okay, well, all my PMS symptoms went away as well. So it's like, okay. So again, looking back, like, how did I not like realize that I needed to do some more of this? Like, I guess I was valued doing it and like having it done for me, but I didn't really realize that this was something that I could bring to other people. So, and this started probably about this time last year. And again, it came on with my cycle. But it's just not the only thing. And I have had enough experiences to know that. But again, I just didn't feel like I had come across the thing that I was supposed to do to help people until I had this NET done. And then I was like, okay, this is a protocol that makes sense to me. I actually already learned it in school. Like utilizing this, we figure out which of the meridians is like in need of support. So using that, we do muscle testing. So we're basically bypassing the conscious mind by asking the body what's going on. So I can do this virtually as well, where I can muscle test myself for another person. When I have somebody in front of me, I like to muscle test them because sometimes I think people think this kind of stuff, like, is it really real? But like you can feel the difference between like a strong muscle test and a weak one. So utilizing the different strong and weak, just that's what's in cranberry juice that helps. Like it's something about it, like keeps the bacteria off the bladder wall or something like that, where it can't like stay in there. But it's an infection of the urinary tract. After that breakup, that I was not living life that way. I was living in my swampy emotional mess, and I didn't want to live that anymore. And the physical symptoms were just, I at that point knew that I'd had enough experiences with that. I knew that all the other foundational layers for health for me were in place. Nothing had changed other than that had to be the missing link that was going on at that time.
Okay. And well, the last one, and then Natasha can contribute, of course, with more questions. Well, it's just, I'm curious.
After an emotional release just helps that kind of like go off the charts where it's like really works its way out.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that was the question directed for, because I knew that you needed something. And I also think that human design is just like the book of your life,
Yeah.
in terms of giving you to understand why you react with certain people like that, or with certain situations that you might be affecting. So it is a very complete profile, and it is based on your energy. So what else can you miss in there?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's been such an interesting tool. I have not had anybody that I've like shared their human design chart with say like that just doesn't sound right. Like they're all totally mind blown. Like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, I don't. I just read the chart. Like it's just I have no control over what's coming up.
Which is beautiful. I've had a session before, which is amazing to find out like what is part of it, and you just see it all mapping out. But if you could do a quick introduction to what it is, that would be great.
Sure. Before birth, we're imprinted twice with like our unconscious traits versus our conscious traits. But we're imprinted with that energy at that time. And so when you look at the chart, that's basically what's noted there is like, what are the energies that are there when you were born? But then it gets very complex, which I like because for each one of the aspects of the human design chart, there's a high expression and then there's a low expression. So there's easy ever, but it like, at least like, okay, like once you learn what you need to do and like how you do things best, then it's like, okay, I know what I need to be doing. And then of course, again, it comes back to actually doing those things, but you at least have that roadmap map of how to get back on track based on like what was imprinted upon you at birth.
Of who we are, which I find that so interesting. How did you find, well, I suppose you experienced it and then you had that help, but absolutely kind of like incorporating these things into, I mean, you spoke very much about at the beginning of speaking to these Western medical doctors being kind of like fixated in, you know.
We don't like anyone to tell us that we have to change.
I've had clients where within one session doing a somatic emotional release, some people say they want to heal it, but they're not ready to heal it because it suits them where they're at. So I was like, okay, that I understand that now. It's okay. I can completely see that. But it was fascinating in that sense. And then I've had other clients that have been on the table that they absolutely absorb as much energy. And I'm like, so it's all in our belief systems and what we're ready for, I think.
That she had time now to do all the meditations, to do all of the guidance that I gave her. And she told me, you know what? I finally got rid of the cigarette. Healing, let's say, powers come through her. And she started to do the work, of course, of journaling, of doing the meditations. So it's not just sitting down and thinking that you are going to heal. It's doing something different. In one of the sessions that we had, there were like 3 or 4 people that were coughing.
Do you want to choose to make the time or do you want to be forced to make the time, essentially, is what it comes down to. And then just like going in from there to figure out like which organ and which like emotion is going on. But I have found that like it does correlate a little bit with, I've started to look up people's like Chinese New Year charts. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the proper term for it, but they always come up with what's called a lucky element. And your lucky element is actually what you're lowest in, where it's like you need more of this to become lucky. On the trail of one idea, and I'm like, well, that actually didn't pan out. But I know that there are patterns there just waiting to be discovered, and I'm so excited to like find them.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I wonder if you can bring in those elements through your food as well, by like X percentage, just by placing things in the right space, in the right order, in the right direction to really make it conducive. She's actually saved businesses like tons of money just from that energetic kind of like placement. Absolutely. Which I find fascinating.
That we are moving through the things is energy that we are moving through the space that we are cohabitating even with someone, journey into what you can tell people that you can help them with in terms of finding their own seeds. What would be the message for them?
So you can always start there, looking at those things and just like feeling like, wow, this really resonates. Like this could be something that I could dive into. My website is live now, so they can always schedule with me. I can even do virtual appointments. Again, that does not include the CFT because that's a hands-on.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
We will also put it in the comments and in the description of this podcast.
And we're looking at the body from a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual perspective. And I've seen kind of like a lot of practices bringing in individuals that